try to fix those holes. Can you put some titanium fence back there or something that they can't cut? Welcome aboard. Well, I was thinking that. I was saying it out loud.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a great
Well, that'll be
a few man late. What's good, man? All right. Tammy G. You like Kenny G, you have over there with Tammy G. I don't know if you listen to music. Great jazz.
That's what I'm trying to get done.
What the great pronunciation? Jamal. Faisal Jamal? Yes, Faisal. Who married you? If you say so, Tim, hey, you make the call. I'll support you. Jack, how you doing, brother? Hello, sir. Chief? Very well, sir. Thank you. Talk to me about a week from now after the honeymoon. How you doing, sir? Squeaker? Okay, we're on the party, sir. We're on the party. How you doing? And then you know, everyone. Yeah, no, I know. There was something going on. Yeah, I'm sure.
call that racing.
What?
Plus, you don't have
Angie, thank you, baby. Zepeda. Zepeda.
I think that was another thing. There's so many investigations.
Okay, brother, take your time, man. Robinson.
The agenda well, he asked me, he said, you know,
That's what it's all about, super fantastic.
I never said anything.
October 7th, so you're right. You're the wrong age of the paper. Trying to get me kicked out of the wood profession. Come on now. I'm trying to stay in the wood. There's a little competition called sibling rivalry.
I haven't.
District meeting is this beautiful.
It's fine.
Okay, that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know, baby. You in charge. You trying to bring the thing where you are. That's all right. I'm right here, cool little cucumber.
So what you're saying is I need to, put on.
In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. And only peace to love Hey, you sit next to the mayor. You sit next to the mayor. Beautiful you are today. Right on, sister. Right on, sister.
Are y'all ready to get started?
I'm down.
No.
I'm down.
No. Yeah.
No? No what, Shirley?
Cut any of my trees down.
Oh, who's cutting your trees down? No, he won't cut your trees down. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It's nice to have such a big crowd. Actually, it's really nice to know that there's people that are interested and that will spend their time, especially their dinner hour, to come down here and listen to us talk. I am Brenda Warner. I am the council representative for District 2, if you live in District 2. And this is Councilman Bovair, who is the representative for District 4? 3?
Two, three.
Three. He's out on the northwest end of the city. And then we have the mayor sitting there who represents the entire city, but he lives down here in District 1. And then Mr. Blake disappeared on us, and he is the representative for District 1. And I'm going to let Mickey behind me here, who is our assistant city manager and finance director, and she only has 2 titles now. I'm going to let her introduce the staff.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. First, I'd like to introduce Tammy Jamati. She is our admin service director. Then we have Jack Walsh, who is our utilities director. And then the chief of police is Mike Cantaloupe. And then we have our public works director, who is Ed Wigra. And then our fire chief, who is Gene Prince. And last but not least, our community development director, who is Steve Belden. Thank you.
Mickey Abdi. And we also have in the audience, he's not sitting up here where he can be noticed, but Matt back here is the assistant to our city manager, Mr. Tukanich, who is on vacation. But Matt is going to let John know everything that we do tonight. Everything that we say, he's going to let him know. What I'm going to ask is for the staff to give us some little short presentations on some things that are happening in District 2 and some things maybe that are happening citywide that are affecting District 2, especially like our roads and stuff. And then we're going to open it up for questions. So after they tell you what's going on, if you have questions, we'll do that until you guys are ready to go home. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
And I've asked them to keep it short, so if they talk too long, just raise your hand, I'll tell them to sit down.
They got the hook. I'll be real quick. I'm just going to give you a couple of updates, primarily economic development. Things are happening. There actually are some things in District 2 that I just want to make everybody aware of. Obviously, the big probably project in District 2 that we've been waiting for quite a while is Tractor Supply is now open at Bird Plaza. Yay! So we're all happy about that. Yeah, so check out the store. We had some other new businesses that have opened up in the district. Crispy Crunchy Chicken on Dixon. If anybody hasn't been there yet, they have great chicken. I've been there. Check it out. There was an expansion at Advanced Discount Auto, also on Dixon. They did an expansion in the existing building. Mango Bottling on Clear Lake, they're actually looking at doing an expansion. And there's also the 840 North Cocoa Boulevard is that the building near Forest Ave, US 1 intersection, right at the triangle there. A new company is actually going to, office space is going to be going in there, so that building will be occupied, so we're kind of happy about that. We've also some other new businesses that have opened. I'm not familiar with all these, so Billy's Family Diner at 1637 North Cocoa. We have Solar Waves Tinting at 843 North Cocoa. Tienda Los Cuerto Hermanos.
All right, you good? Muy bien.
Muy bien. They're at 1551 North Cocoa. Red, White, and Blue Guns. Say 815 Cocoa. Community Youth Corps. GCC Innovative Technologies is at 941 Dixon. Jones Elite Boutique is at 1503 North Cocoa. And Moving Out LLC is at North Cocoa Boulevard. What we also do is the department goes out and does site visits to existing businesses in the city. We kind of just do an outreach. It's part of our pro-business program to kind of, we talk to them, see what their needs are, what their concerns are. We did 20 of those this year, primarily on North Cocoa and on 520, and just kind of get feedback from the businesses of what their issues are and concerns, and if there's anything we can do for them. Just a couple other things. In terms of code enforcement housing activity, we had 2 demolitions for abandoned and dilapidated houses in the district. There was one at 1043 Japonica Lane. We just recently demolished another one at 801 Eden Street that we recently demolished as well. And we're looking at other areas kind of on the Fisk corridor that need to be demolished as well in the future. As far as our more housing activity, we have a residential retrofit program. It's a grant we received from the Department of Emergency Management, basically to do retrofitting on windows, hurricane showers, things like that, to kind of make the houses more hurricane-proof. So we actually right now have 3 houses that we are currently in the process of kind of doing the bids on 1106 Japonica Lane, 1057 Alamanda Lane, and 1046 Cypress Lane. Now, those three houses, we're going to be doing roofs, windows, shutters, doors, and garage doors to kind of make them more hurricane-proof. That's a quick update of what we're doing. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Are we allowed to ask questions now?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Do you have questions?
Just a quick question. Are you doing that as a city for private citizens? Hurricane proofing houses?
Yeah, it's a grant we received, and there's qualifications. And you come in, you can apply through our housing division for those grants, yes.
It's a grant, a federal grant,
It's actually a state grant.
a state grant.
Yep.
Madam Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
I'm asking a question.
You can ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Just for Angela records, do that to state their name, just in case for her.
Do you need James, Angela?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Connie Smith.
Connie Sim.
Cheers.
Do you need an address?
Yes.
Angela?
Mhm.
Address.
15 North Indian River Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Gene Prince, Fire Chief. I've been here about 8 months now with the Fire Department. I spent the previous 32 years with the City of Gainesville and City of Ocala in their fire departments. I just want to give you a couple of dates that are affecting District 2 and the whole city. Last December, the City Council voted to buy 3 new fire apparatus. One of those that we've received is a 100-foot tower ladder that improves our ability to do elevated rescue as well as below grade. District 2 has a lot of our high rises along with District 1. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So, and also the houses that are on the river edge that are down below the grade, that ladder also helps us with those as well. And in the end of September, we will get 2 new engines. This will be spread throughout the city of Station 2 and Station 3. We're also working on a fire station location study because our city has grown quite a bit over the years since the last fire stations were built, and we're looking to replace the 3 existing stations because they're old and past their normal useful life. And that location will help us look at where should the future fire stations be. So we're looking at that right now and hope to have that to the City Council rather soon, in the next month or so. So we'll be looking at those as well. So that affects the whole city. Now, we've had about 2,900 calls so far this year for service. In District 2, we've had 672 calls for service. A little over 500 of those were emergency medical calls, because one of the things, services we provide is advanced life support emergency medical services, which basically that means we can do everything for you except transport you to the hospital. And under state law, that requires an ambulance. The balance of those calls are fire-related calls. We had about 21 auto accidents in District 2 so far this year. To give you an idea, in 2014, we had about 1,023 overall calls in District 2, and it looks like we're probably on that same pace this year for calls for service. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. All right, thank you.
We have a question.
Oh, how about that?
It's not a question, but a request. Paul Camus, 116 Olive Street, Cocoa. I just wanted to bring something to show you. I got a photo. I want to tell you all thank you for these new apparatus, because that really shows that, you know, if you're really into the fire department, into the fire department, because I took 25 years here. So if you're keeping up with what's going out in the West right now with these fires, just from what I've seen and my experience, if you see water going on the fire, they're using a small diameter hose with a high pressure, or they're dropping stuff from a helicopter or plane. Well, we don't have a helicopter or plane, but we do have small diameter hoses. We got them on our apparatus now. I'm here tonight to ask if you guys would, while these trucks are still up being built, put 2 of these booster lines, booster reels on the apparatus that are being built now.
I thought you were going to ask us to buy a plane.
You really say the same thing?
Not yet,
but it's in the works.
That's a photo of what I'm talking about. I've had numerous fires that I've used this, and It's very, very useful. And that's why I'm here tonight. I'm just asking if you guys would approve putting 2 of these reels. Because when I started here, every first run pumper we had 2 of these. Because sometimes with these fires, they're so fast moving, you just got time to jump out, spray it up, water, put the fire out, load it back up, because you push a button, it electrically reels back up, and move on to the next one. So if you remember 98, that was the last really big one. And 3 o'clock in the morning is when I finally got to put some water on the fire, and that's what we used. And we had a county engine from Merritt Island that was with us. They didn't have a booster line. They had engine 3/4, 200 feet. And by the time they drained the line, put it back on the apparatus, they had a center mount pump. So they just wrapped it across that floor there. By the time they did that, they were sitting on the front bumper spinning. We're like, okay, where do you want us now? Those guys are out of service. They can do it. So that's all I'm asking, Chief. He's got extensive knowledge on this as well, and that's why I'm here tonight. So thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
Mr.
Chief.
Camus? Mr. Camus?
I'm going to share.
Well,
Yeah, we're recording it.
Yeah, we're
So,
recording.
okay.
If the citizens don't talk on the microphone, it
Are you
won't
going to do
record.
anything with the water tower?
Okay.
Good.
Well, we'll let Matt do that since he's in the audience. He can pass it around. Any more questions for the fire chief before we let him sit down?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'm Ed Weigriff, Public Works Director, and we've been busy this year. A lot of strategic projects all over the city. I'll kind of bring up a few in District 2, and then maybe some over and around that you may see. Some completed projects in District 2. Pinecrest Cemetery. Anybody know where that is? Oh, come on. It's on Clear Lake Road, a little bit south of Dixon. The city took that in because that's where several famous people, including Emory Bennett, Medal of Honor winner, are buried. It wasn't very well taken care of. That came into the city, and our crews have been maintaining it. We put some money in. There's an asphalt road that we repaved, put flagpole, and we're working on getting some landscaping going in there, but very deserving project. But that was one of the projects that we did. Another project that you may have seen along Michigan and Range, there's actually 2 sections of sidewalk. One on Michigan from, I forget the name of it, where that housing development is. Clear Lake, no, it's not Clear Lake, Cocoa Lakes. Cocoa Lakes, I think. It's on Michigan. Yeah.
You can put that big wide sidewalk?
Well, that's one of them. That's half of it. There's one on Range Road, and the other half is on Michigan. It goes up to the railroad tracks, and eventually, right, both ends. So eventually, we'll get a tie-in across the railroad tracks if FDOT and the new All Aboard Florida and everything works out. We'll have a continuous sidewalk from US 1 all the way down Range Road and just kind of loop the whole city in. So that was a gap that's been missing. We got that put in. That was a little tricky because of the drop-off there, so we had to put some railing up there. So that was a big deal. Removal of Australian pines along Indian River Drive. We completed that a couple months ago. That was, the trees were tearing up the road, and we had to get them out. So we didn't think we had right-of-way, but we did. So we eliminated them. And now next year we'll be fixing the road. So it'll be milled and resurfaced. The stumps are decaying on their own, but they've been treated so they don't regrow. So I drove up there today. They've been staying on top of them. There's weeds, but there's no sprouts. So our guys have been staying on top of them. Finally, another project that probably no one ever saw was pipelining. The storm drainage pipes that go out to the river, we had several of them lined, and they can do it without digging up the road. And they actually invert a pipe liner in it, and we've done several that were ready to fall in. So we're very fortunate to get that. If the pipe falls in, then you will see us. We'll be out there with a backhoe digging up your road or digging down the edge to the river. So we got quite a few of those areas lined. Ongoing projects, street name sign replacement. We're starting to replace the old faded street signs with new reflective, high visibility street name signs with the new City of Cocoa logo on them. So we're putting those in with our own labor, so it's going a little slow, but we've got all the signs, just a matter of getting them put in, and they do look a lot better than the old faded out. I think everyone was crooked, so it's going to improve the look of the city quite a bit. Other things we're doing, State Road 520 corridor study. We just met today to find out, some options of making the 520 through the village a little more pedestrian friendly. Quite a few people showed up. The village is the village, and if you want to go north, not many people want to venture across 520, and it's kind of a racetrack. So we're trying to work with DOT to get that taken care of. There's also a corridor study for Fisk Boulevard from 520 south. That's a neglected piece of roadway. You go through Rockledge, they have curb and gutter. Coming to Cocoa, there's no curb and gutter. Yes, sir. Yes, it's next week's council meeting. It's board set up so people can come and look at it a little. If you got a few minutes before council meeting, you can see the boards, and they're going to try to give you a couple minutes so you can do that and still get to council meeting. So, yeah, unfortunately, they had it pre-scheduled, and anyway. Yep. FDOT is also busy out on Clear Lake Road. They're looking at a PD&E study, which is a preliminary design project to widen Clear Lake Road north of Michigan, and technically Clear Lake Road goes around to Industry. According to DOT, that's their segment. So they're looking at upgrading the road from Michigan up past Walmart, around the big curve, and over to Industry. So that'll be an upcoming study project, which leads into possibly a construction project a couple years from now. So DOT moves slowly, but this is a first step. Other things that are going on, we'll be doing some street paving. Like I mentioned, the Indian River Drive will be redoing a little bit of that. A little bit. North of Dixon. Well, I'll let Jack explain that. I'll let Jack Walsh explain that. He's going to be tearing up the road to put in a water main, so. Yeah, with destruction comes a little bit of good. Peachtree Street, Complete Street, if anyone's been down Peachtree Street, it's kind of a construction zone right now. The gas company had their first crack at it. They went down the middle of the lane, the westbound lane, and kind of cut right through the middle of the road to put the gas main in. Hello. But that project's underway. It should be done in January. And upcoming projects, Florida Avenue, Complete Streets. City got grant money also, like we did on Peachtree, to do Florida. So we'll be doing construction this year, starting at 520, going to the south city limits, and that's exciting. It's not a real pretty street right now, and we're going to do a streetscape and make it a complete street with complete sidewalks, bus stop, pedestrian-oriented project. Finally, anybody live in Broadview Manor? Oh, y'all like those street lights? We're looking at a street light project. Those lights we found paperwork, they were given to the city in the 1920s, and they've been renovated and renewed, but we'll be sending out a letter to ask the homeowners if they like those street lights or if they like the FPL lights, and we'll be doing a project if the community decides to fund the replacement of the street lights to replace those. So
Replace the ones along the riverfront.
some we have replaced. We want to upgrade them all to LED, make them all the same, make them all uniform, and you know, get them all up to the modern standards. Some of them are on bases that are a foot deep, and we've actually had some just fall over. So
What's the structure of it?
they will look like the ones we have downtown here. They'll be the old-fashioned, but we'll meet. We'll have a meeting, and it'll be a municipal service benefit unit. So it'll be, you know, this is a cost divided by the people benefiting, and so much cost per lot, and the residents can decide whether or not they want to pony up or, you know, have FPL lights like the rest of the city. So that's it. Yes, ma'am.
At the corner of 520 and Clear Lake, where the old Shell station. At the corner, Lydia Felton, 1998 Muskingum Avenue, Cocoa. At the corner of 520 and Clear Lake, it used to be the old Shell station,
Right.
which was the local fruit stand, which they're doing some repair work there. Is the fruit stand coming back because Thanksgiving is coming and we get a lot of...
Yeah, I don't know, that's not in the city.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, I can't answer that. I don't know what they're doing with that property.
Oh, okay.
But if they want to annex in the city, we'd be happy to.
Oh, okay. I just wondered, yeah.
Any other? Yeah.
Jerry Smith, 15 Indian River Drive, Cocoa. Up there where they cut down all the Australian pines, it's a pretty low area on the west side of that street. It stays, there's a lot of water. If we get a storm, is there going to be a lot of erosion, and would the road actually be shut down with knowing how much water there would be there?
With Indian River Drive at Dixon, in that area of Dixon, yeah, it's a real low elevation. If you get, you know, any kind of a storm surge, that road will be probably underwater.
Would they put coquina rocks or anything along there to keep the erosion from?
Well, we could, yeah, that's one thing that you know, that's very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
I know, I think 115 Indian River Drive, they're tearing up their concrete, they're dumping it on the riverbank, and we got in trouble for doing that about 20 years ago, but you can do it now. So the rules are different, so yes, we'll be looking at, you know, you have to get a permit, so we'll be looking at getting a permit to try to reinforce some of our shorelines. There is right-of-way and there is some private property, you know, where the point is, so some of it's not our property and some of it is. But yeah, that's something we're looking at in the future. There's a real high point at, what, 800 or so Indian River Drive, where it's like 50 feet above the river. You know, we're looking at that. You know, this is a little nervous, so, you know, there's areas along Indian River Drive we're looking at.
Hey, Connie Smith, Jerry's wife, 15,
Okay.
North Indian River Drive. Why wouldn't you take the road that you chop up off of Indian River Drive, and could you get a permit to put the asphalt?
No, you can't put asphalt in the road.
No asphalt.
Only clean concrete without rebar, and it has to be a certain size. And yeah, you can't put, no asphalt. That's bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get us in trouble for that. Any other questions? Nobody asked about US 1, okay. Everyone's tired of hearing about it. The official date is February, and if it stops raining, yeah. 20, 2016.
That's what I'm about to say, man.
2016.
Did you ever see a highway project get done when they said it was going to be done?
Yeah.
I did notice that the streetlights were on south of Dixon.
Yeah, some of those are in service, and they're installing, I saw them putting some on the east side, so they're getting ready to go up on the east side. But yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah, that's a good sign. So, yeah, February, March 2016. That's all I can say. It's DOT's project. We send representatives. The city will be getting more involved because the city has funded some landscape and hardscapes, which is, of course, the last thing. So there'll be, some of the medians will have irrigation and plantings and benches and trash cans and things like that. So, yes, sir. Yes, the 520 corridor study, yes. We met today to get more ideas and more input on from the committee. There were residents from Whitley Bay and some of the other condominiums and Cocoa Main Street, Historic Cocoa Village Association. Several groups were represented, got some good input, and they're going to put together something to present. So, but DOT, they design roads and design improvements about as quick as they build them. So, Space Coast TPO was here. They said they do have funds that they've set aside for some of the improvements.
All the years that I watched the DOT projects all the time, I've never seen so many DOT projects in the city at one time. They're overlapping, starting, you know what I mean?
Right. Cocoa is really blessed by a good transportation system. We'll have 6-lane US 1 with continuous sidewalks. 520 is in good shape. Clear Lake Road, I-95 even has been widened. Transportation-wise, we're in really, for truck. Actually, staff is meeting to talk about that. So, there's no funding through TPO, but, there may be a way that we can do something in-house. Actually, I pulled out a study that was done in-house by previous employees, 1996. So it's been looked at for a long time. Good thing is, since 1996, the road hasn't really changed, so the study still has a lot of good information in it. So, it is on our radar. So, is that it? Sorry, I took too long.
Good evening, I'm Mike Cantaloupe, I'm the Chief of Police. I've been here with the Cocoa Police Department for 25 years. I want to start out with a few statistics for District 2, and specific to District 2. We looked at the first 6 months being January 1st to June 30th. During that time, there were 10,579 calls for service in District 2. Just to put that in perspective, total calls for service for the city currently are 38,988. So we're about, District 2 is about 27% of our total calls for service throughout the city. Out of those 10,579 calls, 42% of them were officer-initiated calls. When I talk about officer-initiated, that means that the calls were actually initiated by the officer. They weren't dispatched to those calls. Those were calls that they started, whether they be foot patrols, suspicious people, whatever. Out of the total calls, 920 of them resulted in actual case reports being written. 631 of those were closed out. 187 of the total were closed out by arrest. We looked at traffic stops, and this was kind of interesting. In District 2, we did 471 traffic stops. Out of that, 141 of those resulted in arrests. A few projects that we're doing that are specific to District 2. We just initiated and served the owners of 1010 North Fisk, Cocoa Townhouse Apartments, with drug nuisance abatement. Basically what that is we've made several arrests in there. We're now going to the apartment owners and saying that they have to make certain changes to basically fix the problem, to, you know, better screen their tenants and to cut down on the illegal activity. We also have been doing, for the first 6 months, and we continue to do, is a lot of proactive enforcement along the Fisk corridor. Bird Plaza, I know Tractor Supply just opened up. We're actually looking at opening a storefront in Bird Plaza, so we'll have officers in Bird Plaza. It'll be part for our nonprofit Cocoa Community First and also for my community resource unit. And then also we're looking at a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, which are located off of Dixon. Just to talk about a few things that we added equipment-wise to the police department. We had 11 new patrol cars this year. We added 2 new Harley-Davidson police motorcycles. We're replacing many of our laptops with new tablets for the vehicles. We're in the process of working on a mobile command vehicle, which will be shared by both police and fire. We had 4 new Segways this year that we used throughout the downtown area and through many neighborhoods. And also, a real important thing, we were able to get a grant last year, and we were able to get 28 AEDs, which are the defibrillators. We now have those 28 out in patrol cars, so that when the officers arrive on the scene, if somebody's had a heart attack and they're not breathing before fire gets there, if we're there, we can actually use the AED to help them out. One thing I did want to talk about is we have a thing called Drop-A-Dime. It's a text message. You know, a lot of times people say, you know, I don't want to call about something, you see something. Well, we have what we call Drop-A-Dime, and it's dropadime@cocopolice.com. You put that in where you would normally put a phone number in a text message, and then just type whatever in your normal text message line. When you do that, you can send a text message to the police department. When you send that, it goes to myself, my command staff, our sergeants, and also to our comm center. Each one of those that the comm center gets, they actually initiate a call for service for. And if anybody would like to talk about that afterwards or get more information, I'll be more than glad to talk to you about it.
I can tell you it works.
Absolutely, and you know, we started it a long time ago. It kind of went dormant, but we're bringing it back again because, I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, I saw something, but I don't really want to call and bother you. Well, if you don't feel like you can call or you can't call, you can always send us a text message. With that, are there any questions?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, Connie Smith, 15 Indian River Drive. My first question is, there was a carjacking last week in front of, on Brevard Avenue, and that has been, of course, everybody's upset about that, and they want to know what an update, they want an update if you found the person, obviously, that committed the carjacking. It was right here in front.
Yes, to that one, we actually recovered the car. We do have a suspect. We were able to get DNA from the car and also a good fingerprint. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time for us to get the DNA processed and get the fingerprint processed, but hopefully, as soon as that stuff gets processed, we can either confirm that the person who we believe is the suspect, and then we can make an arrest from that point.
That's wonderful. Great.
We've also, just on that note too, we're now increased the patrols, although we always try to patrol the downtown area as much as possible. We've increased the patrols, and if you've noticed in the downtown area, there's now a police vehicle in the downtown area. That vehicle will move throughout the day, throughout the weekends, through different areas throughout the village, so that it gives us an extra presence in the village. Also, I've talked to our VCOPs. They're actually doing some more patrols downtown. I know a lot of people tell me they see them in the mornings coming down Indian River Drive, but they're also in the village more now.
Okay, and thank you. That's great news. One last question is, do we have an ordinance about panhandling? I want to be politically correct now. People are in hard times, and you want to help people. And a lot of people in the area, we know the local, can I say bums? But, you know, not afraid of several. But there's a lot of new people have shown up, and they're standing in front of a lot of places in front of your homes, bugging you. There's a lady on Peachtree Street that comes down. I think you probably know her. She has, but she, you know, every once in a while, she scares people that are coming to visit people. She pops her head into the window. She says she has children at home. Anyway, I know. And,
She
yeah.
doesn't. Yes, we know exactly who that is. We've run her off several times. We're actually have some other stuff going on right now in that area, but we continue to try to move her along as much as possible. The first part of the question, I don't remember what.
Ordinance.
Oh, the ordinance. We do have an aggressive panhandling ordinance.
We passed that about a year and a half ago, and I remember the city when told me I was going to do a job, I was crazy to do it. But if anybody walks up to you and asks for money to add your shit, that's, you go to jail.
Okay.
You know, we passed it, and then we passed also a,
And in the downtown overlay, there's a even stricter ordinance about campaigning.
Yeah.
It's mainly in the downtown areas where it's for.
But also up at 528 US 1, does it cover that area there?
Some of it.
The other one does.
Like the mayor said, the aggressive panhandling is a thing. If they're constantly, you know, if somebody's coming to you and constantly bothering, first of all, if they're down there at all, please call. I mean, and if you don't want to call again, use the drop-a-dime. Take a picture of them when you text it, send it to us. You know, it'd be great. We move them on. It's, you know, the homeless problem is a serious problem throughout the nation.
We have
not only just in the county.
we have a giant heart for that, but as much as the whole town's improving, and let's face it, it becomes more of a magnet. And one thing I'll say with Mike is, Mike, how many times do I call you a week?
Many, many, many.
Many. And I'll be running in the morning, and I'll be somewhere, and there'll be a guy sleeping, and he's not supposed to be down there. He's been trespassed. I'll take a picture of him and shoot it to him. You know,
Yeah,
but-
definitely. Take a picture, text it to us, you know, we'll put somebody out. We check the parks, you try to check the parks every morning when we come in, but there are several people at different areas. I know you talked about 528 US 1. I've run that gentleman off several times. The bottom line is, they're here because they continue to get a handout. And I tell everybody, and the biggest thing you can tell people is, I know people feel sorry for them, they want to give them money, they want to give them stuff, but as long as they get a handout, they're not going anyplace. I tell a story that was told to me by actually the chief of police from Melbourne, who now has, actually, they have a panhandling ordinance now. But they have the same people at the same corners. And he stopped a guy one night and said, hey, you know, we arrested you before, we sent you to jail, why are you back here? And they sent him all the way to Sharps. He came all the way back to Melbourne to the same intersection. And he told them it was his intersection. And when he drove up, the guy pulled out a $100 bill that a lady had just given him. So, again, the biggest thing you can do is, and tell everybody is, don't give them handouts, don't feed them, just don't do it. I know a lot of people feel that that's helping them, but it's not. And as long as they're getting a handout, they're going to continue to come back.
We have a lot of resources in this town for them to get food. There's free food at the Sharing Center. The Sharing Center does meals every day, hot meals every day. Almost every church in the area passes out food. So they're not going hungry. And I can tell you from personal experience, there's a gentleman who stands on the side of the road with a sign. He's not aggressive. Has a sign, says he's a homeless vet. He's not homeless. He has an apartment on Dixon Boulevard. And he gets a check from the veterans every month. And the only thing he's standing out there for the money is beer and cigarette money. That's all he's after. And if he makes $5 or $10 a day, that makes him happy. He goes and buys beer and cigarettes, but all of his other needs are being met. You know, and so there's a lot of people like that. But there are people that are needy, and it's the people who aren't that make it hard for everybody else. But nobody in this community has any excuse to be hungry because we have free food everywhere in this community. So.
And there are services out there. I mean, we offer every time that we get out and speak with the homeless, you know, first of all, we ask them, are you a vet? You know, if they're a vet, there's help through the Veterans Association, through the homeless vets. And then there's help through other homeless agencies, and there's a lot of agencies, but we find a lot of the homeless people just truly want to be homeless. They choose to be homeless, and that's what they want to do. So, you know, there's, like I said, there's help for them. There is places for them to eat, but but like I said, the biggest thing, and it's hard to tell people, is just don't give them a handout. If we can stop giving them a handout, they'll move on to someplace else.
So that applies to places like McDonald's, because, or the other fast food restaurants, they will get you either on your way in or on your way out, so you just don't give them.
No, the best thing is really not to. I mean, because even there, I mean, giving them food isn't, I don't want to say it isn't as bad as giving them money. Because if you give them money, they're doing just what Councilwoman Warner said. If you give them money, they're going buying beer and cigarettes. But even giving them food, if they're not getting food there, they'll go someplace else. Okay. And if we all get together and kind of band together and don't do that, then they'll move to another area. Or they'll figure out that they're not going to get a free handout, and they'll go get a job, or they'll go do something to help themselves.
So go to the sharing center.
Yes.
So basically, they are allowed to do it at the restaurants? They are allowed to, or they just do it?
Again, it kind of depends. Like McDonald's, the privately owned properties, if McDonald's is allowing it, and we've spoke to, I mean, I've spoke to several of the businesses, I've spoke downtown to several of the local restaurants and businesses downtown even, and said, don't, a lot of places when they close up at night, they'll take food and just throw it in the dumpster or set it out back, or actually you'll find homeless standing behind restaurants, they'll walk out and hand them the food. Well, as long as they keep doing that, they're going to come back every night and get that food. So, I mean, as long as they're getting a free handout, they're not going to have to go find another way to get their food.
Just to clarify.
Good.
Jerry Smith, 15 I can name 3 different groups of people that I see every day. They're over at Publix on Merritt Island. The guy at 528 and US 1, I'm the homeless vet, I need. Are they allowed to do that or no? Or do I take a picture of them and say?
Take a picture, because we run them off. They can't be in traffic. Now, if they stand off to the side, out of the way, and they're not a traffic obstruction, and as long as they're not being aggressive, then yes, they can pretty much get away with it. But we run them off from the middle of the road.
And not approaching people?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
kind of get away with?
But they can't be in the road obstructing traffic. So the guy in the median, a lot of times what we'll do, we'll catch them, because what they'll do is they'll step off the median to walk out to get the money. When they do that, they're now in traffic. We arrest them for obstructing traffic.
What is the email?
The text message is drop, DROPADIME @cocopolice.com. It's actually an email address, but if you put it in where you would normally type the phone number for the text, put it in there and then put whatever message in the text or picture and then just hit send. And it sends it as, the text message comes as an email to, like I said, myself, my command staff, comm center, and the supervisors. And we initiate a call on each one.
You can also use the new city app to take the photo. It'll also map your location, and then you can submit it, and it'll get routed to the police department as well.
Coco Connect? Coco Connect?
Yeah. Coco Connect is the name of the app for Apple and Android.
Yeah, just remember, the only thing with that is it's not going to be instantaneously. I mean, the text message comes right to our comm center. So if you text it now, it's there 30 seconds from now. The other one actually will come through eventually. I'm not really sure how that one does. Okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
I will try following that, Mr. Walker.
I have all the confidence in the world.
This is the man who makes sure we all get water.
I'm Jack Walsh, I'm the Utilities Director. I just have a couple of items. A couple of projects that are going on in District 2. Just kicked off, I think this Monday, or last Monday, was the Indian River Drive water line project. It extends, really starts in District 1, and works its way up through District 2. It goes from 520 Upper Indian River Drive and stops just short of Dixon Boulevard. And that's a water main replacement. That project, we did some community meetings about probably a year and a half ago now. But we finally got our plans, got our bids, and contractors underway. It has, I think, 15 phases, and we did that in order to basically chop the project into smaller pieces so they would be forced or basically encouraged to close the road each day, close up the hole, and then allow traffic in the evenings and during rush hour, so we have both lanes. It's real tight over there. Not a lot of right-of-way, as Public Works Director had pointed out, so we wanted to make sure that traffic still wasn't impeded through that area. So that project is underway. The other project really isn't in the district, because I think it's School Street's kind of the south edge of your district. This is actually Peachtree Street. It's a utilities project. We're calling it Peachtree East. There's a couple of different phases of Peachtree going on. This particular piece is from Indian River Drive back to the west, across US 1 and stopping at the railroad tracks. That little section of what we're going to be doing in there. The plans are at 100% and getting ready to be bid, and we should be, maybe underway in the next couple of months. So those are the only two major projects.
You want to give us an update on the water tower? I know everybody's curious
Sure.
about the water tower.
Yeah, the water tower contractor, as you can probably tell visually, left about a month or so ago, probably about 5-6 weeks ago. The exterior painting obviously is complete. There were a number of structural problems with the tower. It was over 58 or 60 years old, and there was some corrosion and deterioration to some of the sway struts that you see under the legs. Some of the steel in the bowl, and then some of the leg areas and the clevises that hold everything together. Anyway, after stripping it all down to raw metal and being able to determine the damage, having an inspector come in and take a look at it, make recommendations, we were at the point where we have a contract. We had to put that stuff out to bid. It was a fairly specialty item to do the repair. We had a couple people bid it. The bid exceeded the allowance that we had brought. We brought it and kind of left it as an allowance up to. The bids came in actually slightly above that, so we're going to have to come back to council, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday we'll be back.
What?
No, there's no water in it right now. Yeah, no, we're keeping it empty, and we need to do that. They need to do the structural repairs while there's no water in it. We also have to paint up any touch-up, and we don't want any condensation on the tank at all. If you have any kind of water in it, it'll create a condensation. We did the inside about 2 years ago, if you remember, and we did the pipe that was sticking out and some other the new fire hydrant that's there. So we took care of the inside about 2.5 years ago, completely renovated the outside, and with the structural repairs, we should be good, hopefully for another 50 years, I hope. So.
Okay. When we were at the meetings a year ago, they said they'd start the water project at Dixon and go south or north. South, yeah, set to 520. Now it looks like you're starting at 520 and going north. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think the reason why, I don't remember that specifically, but I know the reason why we probably tried to do that was because we wanted to get away from 520 from Florida Avenue, not knowing the timing of other projects that were coming on, and there's a lot going to be going on in the downtown area. So we wanted to start immediately and get out of that 520 area as quickly as we can.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, right. Okay, to get the first, 500 feet, an approximate timeline, can you tell us, or?
The first 500 feet?
Yeah, just because our garage door is right there to try to get in, and there's a lot of people turning on that right there at 520 and Indian River Drive. So all that construction's already started, so people in the building are saying, how long is this going to go on? So.
Right. I don't have the specifics, but I think I know where you live, and I can get you some information on more specifics on the schedule. But they're starting on the south end and going forward. They exposed the water lines and verified some depths for some tie-ins just to make sure that everything was okay. I think I saw them putting up the message board on Friday about the project board over there on the side, and they were digging right there. So I don't remember how many days each phase was, but the idea was to keep it small so that we could, control traffic, not put too much out of traffic, keep those areas small. But each day it will be open, and when they do a driveway, they'll do half at a time. So you can, so they'll try to keep it open. There may be an instance where they can't, but for the most part, they should be able to try to, stair step their way across, so to allow people to get in and out. Yes, sir.
One last one from me, too.
Yes, sir.
We're monopolizing. Okay. You mentioned corrosion, which is what I used to deal in for a long time. Did they put cathodic protection inside the tank?
Inside the tank, I don't believe so, no.
They didn't drop the anodes down and,
No, it's-
they used to have it, back when Jimmy Durakis did the first paint job on that water tank many, many, many years ago, they did put cathodic protection.
I'm not familiar if it's on the inside.
Yeah?
But let him, hey, please feel free.
Yes.
Warm it up for our meeting. It's coming.
I'm Frank Sullivan, 1705 Indian River Drive. How long will that whole project take?
I think it's scheduled for about 13 months.
And how close to Dixon you going?
We're just short. I forget the address.
Right around Mr. Hollingsworth's house.
Yeah.
Right in that area.
10:25? Yeah, 10:25.
Yeah, we're gonna stay in front of Shirley's house for about a month.
Oh, yeah. Walk the driveway so they can't get out.
All right, keep that in mind, Ian.
I think Shirley's done something to keep him in, he's not here tonight.
Any other questions?
Babysitting the dog.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we're not gonna make Tammy talk?
No talking for Tammy. No updates from Miss Tammy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let all the council people talk, and then we'll open it up, and you guys can ask questions about anything you want to. But because Don is busy, I'm going to make him talk first.
I don't have anything to say. Just thank you, everyone, for coming, and great presentation by the staff. Thank you for coming.
First of all, sorry I was late. A citizen stopped me and started asking me questions. What am I going to do, you know? And so, no, they wouldn't do that. They were in District 4. Yeah, no, they were in my district. Matter of fact, across the street from me. So, But anyway, I appreciate everybody coming because that's what it's all about. If you don't come and tell us what's on your mind, we have no way of knowing. And we hope also that you see that we have been making improvements to the city, to public safety, to roads, to the water tank, to everything. And we're trying. So let us know what you think. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Blake. Let's first of all give our Deputy Mayor Brenda Warner a round of applause for sponsoring this. Job well done. Make a long story short, last thing you want to do is give a microphone to a politician or a preacher or any other person that begins with the letter P. I hear you, Shirley. The most important thing I want to say to you all, I thank you for your quality time and you not feeling highway robbery of coming out tonight, and I think it's important. In order for us to make a well-informed decision, as well as you all are, you must be involved. And to piggyback off of all of our council members, I think it's a great job that you did surrender some of your quality time to be with us here tonight at the council chambers. So let's give yourself a round of applause, please. I think you all deserve that. Last but not least, there are big ships and little ships, but nothing like relationships, friendships, and good stewardship. Anything dealing with the word ship, because it comes forward and backwards. That's what we need. We want to put it out there, and you bring it back to us. So we thank you very much for your quality time. Job well done, staff. And I'm glad to see so many smiling faces in the place with the human race.
Mike, thanks. Wow.
I want everybody to take a look at his shoes.
What happens when you get old, Frank?
I'm not there.
Oh, Mike, thanks. Right now, we're just a real quick overview. This is District 2 meeting, so we're right in the middle of budgets, getting close to the end, and we have some new projects we're going to be making decisions on coming up here. So, and then we also, the city manager's been, and Tammy and others have been doing union negotiations, and I guess last week the police department passed their vote. They voted on the contract for 3 years, by the way. It comes, yeah, so it's going to come to us Tuesday. And then also, I think the fire unions this week, it'll be the first time for a 3-year contract, it'll be the first time the fire union, if they pass it, that the contract overlaps. Because usually they're at an impasse or something. So, we're trying to...
We've been years without a contract.
Right. For us, this is keeping the citizens happy, number one. And number two is, you can't be an effective city unless your employees are, are saying the, talking the talk and fairly happy with what they're doing. So, we work hard at that. Obviously, you can see a lot of projects around the city, and everybody up here is committed to making it the best city in Florida. I mean, truthfully. And we have the best location, the best people, citizens, and we're working hard at this. So, like tonight, if you can come up with that extra idea that would help us, we'd love to hear it. And let me move on to like Fisk Boulevard in District 2. That's something we're going to be focusing on the next year or so. US 1 construction, hopefully that'll end. It's worrying me. And also the police department, the calls for service. I want the Smiths to hear this. We're starting to look at the top 12 calls for service, and I can tell you the top 12 will make everybody in here think, my gosh, what are we doing? We're working our police department to death over just chronic problems. So we're going to be looking at that for the next so many months. Also, we're going to do a crime summit in the fall, and we're going to tweak it a little bit, and we're going to focus like on North Fisk and other areas. But crime's down to, it's a 20-year low probably right now, give or take. And in closing, we work on our image. For me, this is how I think about everything. City hall operations, crime, image, safety, which is fire and police. I kind of break it out that way. And, right now I'm thinking hard on the crime side. I want to push it down. You'll find out the farther we go, the more the other communities around us try to keep us down. And it's not going to happen. Very soon we'll be considered the comeback town in Florida at the rate we're going. Also, we already talked about the water tower, and I'll leave it with this. Thanks, Don. Everybody, if you got a flag, fly it. If not, get a flag and fly it. And buy local, right? Yeah. Support local, right, Mike? Yeah. And that's it. Thanks for coming.
As y'all can see, I really have my work cut out for me with these guys here. So the mayor is right. We are all trying to fly our flags right now, just kind of until we can do our grand unveiling of our water tower. It gets a lot of attention. We get comments from people passing by on boats on the river. They can see our water tower. It really stands out. Travis Hardware has American-made U.S. flags, and so does Ace Hardware. So when he says shop local, we can buy our flags locally. Also, we've been asking you all if you have any questions, but I would also like to give you an opportunity if you have anything you want to complain about. Now, you staff, they're all going like this. But if you have something that you want our staff to know about, something that's wrong, you can use this opportunity, or when the meeting is over, if you would rather talk to them individually, quietly, not out loud, that's fine. But I know this gentleman over here, because he comes to our council meetings, and I bet he's got something good to say. And we do need your name.
I won't say it's good, but I'm going to say it anyway.
It's always interesting.
We only have 2 roads to get out of the Washington Avenue area. We come up to 520 from Washington, or we go to Rosa Jones and go to US 1. Most time during the day, you can wait 20 minutes to get out at 520. They keep blocking, when the train comes, they block the road where you can't go across. If we could get a no blocking the intersection sign or some lines there.
Right next to Juniors?
Yeah, yeah, right there.
Yeah, right next to Juniors. Him and I talked about it. Even he can't get out.
Well, if we put up a sign there, then the chief's people can also enforce people blocking that. But But you know, it also happens like on 520 at Hewlett. People stop in there, people are trying to get across there every afternoon, and I think it's just maybe we can do something to remind people, maybe in our newsletter, that they really shouldn't be blocking intersections, but not just for the regular traffic, but there's occasions when our safety people need to be able to get across those intersections. So maybe, Angela, we could add that to next month's newsletter about not blocking intersections. Yes, ma'am?
One last question.
It's going to cost you a nickel, according to Mr. Bover.
You guys, it's so great to hear about the businesses coming to the city, because last year at the big meeting at the Civic Center, Mr. T said there was 47% unemployment in Cocoa. Now, when I repeat that statistic, people always ask me, does that include the retired people? And I don't know. Does that mean of working age?
Matt Pure, you got that right, brother?
About all we have to go off of is the U.S. Census, the American Community Survey, and that's about 16.7% unemployment, but it's estimated there's another possibly 25% that aren't even looking. So I'm thinking those were the numbers he added together to provide that. That are currently looking but are unable to find employment.
He said that was just for Cocoa. Is that correct? Because he said that last.
Yeah, but I think he was including not just the people that were looking for work, but like Matt said, people that weren't working, had to quit looking for work,
But not the retired community also, people over 65.
No, I don't think he was including them. I think he was just including the people that had either quit looking for work, weren't working for one reason or another, whether it was disabilities or, but were of an employable age, yeah.
Did you expect to be at District 1 meeting as well?
District 1?
Yes.
Next week, we're not going to.
No, it will.
That won't be our time. Relax.
It's in October, so you have time.
You have time.
Go on, Steve.
I think that unemployment rate he gave, that was for a specific area of the city. The overall city's unemployment wasn't that high. I think it was really, that was more of the 66 census tract areas where, unfortunately, sir, sorry to hear that.
District 1 out there.
But yeah, it's certainly improving from that, from last year. But a big part of that is the underemployed or the ones that aren't looking any further. But it was focused in that area in particular. And also we'll mention in terms of the population of the city, we just received the recent population estimates from the University of Florida, and our population is now at 18,313. That's the highest it's ever been as long as they've been tracking population in Cocoa. So that's about a 1,200 increase from about 5 years ago. So we are seeing an increase in population, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Mr. Camus?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're collecting money from these people, so let them talk, yes.
Somebody brought it up, but I have to ask the question, all aboard Florida. We hear the train at all hours of the night. What's going to happen when there's 32 of these all aboard Floridas, assuming it is going to pass? And the gentleman down there, yeah, and the gentleman down there, if you think you have a problem now, what in the world is it going to be when these 32 trains are coming up and down?
I believe that was a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a trick question.
Actually, you won't be hearing them in the middle of the night because they won't be running during the middle of the night. These 32 are just daytime trains.
Oh, I approved it. Jerry, I know you guys aren't fond of the train, but I'll give you the end game of it. Do you remember when it went to the county commission about 6 months ago? I'm for it because there's a lot of reasons. I won't go into tonight, but I will say this. After that vote, the senior VP for all board come up to me and he says, thanks for working with us and all that. It's okay. And so I want a station, I want something out of it, And so he says, Mayor, he looked at me and he goes, I'm going to be very serious with you. He says, we were coming anyways. You know what I mean? So we're on the inside of that situation, and they were coming anyways. And there was no way we could stop them. I mean, that's the truth.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
another thing I'm not sure that everybody understands, because I've had people say to me, well, you know, their train tracks are crossing our roads. No, our roads are crossing their
Their
train
train
tracks.
tracks.
They were here first. We have to get their permission. And a lot of people don't understand that, you know, they actually have the upper hand in this.
They do, and you know, they've been there 125 years. They've owned it. Yeah, a very long time. And, you know, the transportation laws in this country, the federal laws, are so swayed their way, we don't have a chance. So, yeah, we are working with them. And if they don't get ridership, that $2.5 billion, it's on them. But if it works, it probably will help our city in the long term. That's it, you know.
My name's Jesse Hanks. I live here in Cocoa at Highland Drive and Fisk Boulevard. I was wondering, when are they going to do the repaving the roads in the neighborhoods?
Ed, you got anything in that neighborhood, Highland, that area over there?
Yeah. We have a thing. Yeah, the city has a pavement study that we've just done, and they've rated all the roads, and we're waiting for the results of that. But the preliminary, you know, our goal is to get the roads that are most heavily used, like Fisk and Peachtree and Florida, get those done first, and then go into the subdivisions. Highland, yeah, it'll be on the list. There's 72 miles of roads in Florida and Cocoa, and there's enough money to do about 2 or 3 miles a year. So we'll get to it, but it may be a while.
Where are we at on the schedule? Do we need to maintain our roads?
We could use a little more money, but a lot of other needs, you know, and we're doing, you know, certain things like microsurfacing to try to extend the life of roads before they have to be completely milled and resurfaced. Utilities is replacing water lines. A lot of times they help us out by milling and resurfacing the road when they put the water line in. So, you know, there's a need, and we understand it. We try to keep the service index up. There's a structural and a pavement condition index. Try to keep that up so our roads don't turn into potholes like Palm Bay's. So.
Did we put a list, like, on the website of the roads that we're going to do, like, in specific years when we get those?
When we get the 5-year plan, we'll bring it to council and we can put that on. I can tell you this year, we've council approved doing a few roads. One of them is Plaza Parkway. One of them is Hewlett. Oh no, Indian River Drive. And Fern. Fern that runs parallel to Peachtree where they're working now. So I think that's it. So. Right, and then Grove, and then School Street. Right. We'll do a street at a time as we got money for, right?
800 new residents a year, that money's coming.
Yeah. So, all right.
All right.
Paul Camus, 116 Olive Street. I got 4 things if I can remember them. First off, my wife's brother, the youngest brother, he's got cancer, he's got weeks. So we made a lot of trips up to North Florida, taking I-95, I-75, and coming back, noticed a lot of Cocoa Village sign, billboard, beautiful. So I don't know who was involved in having that, but I tell you what, it feels good when you're out of town and you see the Cocoa Village billboard, and great job. Also, I want to give kudos to whoever I talked with here at City Hall, I believe it was, when they were doing the road construction and detouring on our street off of US 1. It's a straight shot. It's like people floor it. And I called here and asked if we could get a speed limit sign because we didn't have one. And she put me in contact with someone with FDOT. And I don't know her name. But the next day, we got a speed limit sign. So appreciate that. Last council meeting, I don't think I was too clear when I made the request with Keep Brevard Beautiful about a adopt a road sign. I said it's going to be at the corner of US 1 and Olive, but that's not true. Where it's hopefully going to be is about 50 feet east of US 1. And I've observed along North Indian River Drive, you've got a speed limit sign, and just below that sign is a scenic drive sign. So what I'm going to try and do is I have to do paperwork, I found out, for this sign. I'm going to ask if they could just attach it to the speed limit sign because we got a neighborhood watch sign there as well. So, and then one other thing that I learned from a 16-year-old young lady on Sunday when I was donating platelets. See, in this arm, I have to keep squeezing for 90 minutes to get the blood to flow. Here's a 16-year-old young lady donating platelets, her second time, which that gives me hope because I know one day now I could not have to donate anymore because I got a 16-year-old now that when she does it 21 times, it becomes a habit. But she said to her mother why she was doing that herself is because she looked over at me and was imitating me. So what I left there with is, you know what? How we live our life is imitated by folks. So if we could go out in the world and do what's right, we know we're being imitated. So that's all I have, and thanks for your time. And always thank you, council. This is awesome. I really appreciate it.
Anybody else?
No.
Oh, come on, you're out of money.
We're done. You don't have another quarter? We're done. Just happy to keep it coming.
Ladies?
You know what?
Anybody else? Nobody has anything to complain about or? Now the staff or complain, okay. If you do want to talk to Steph, yes ma'am.
I just want to, I'm guilty of not coming to council meetings and special, but I got a call today and said, you know, we need to go to council, I want you to go to council meeting. And so that's why I am here. And I just want all of the staff and everybody who works for the citizens of Cocoa to know that I do appreciate everything. The labor of love, all the long hours. I know we don't often say thank you, but I want you to know how very appreciative I am for all of the things that you have done for us. Even though we don't do what we should do as citizens at times, and I'm talking about myself, nobody else, but I vow tonight to do better than what I have been doing. So just thanks to everyone for all that they have done.
Well, thank you. The staff will stick around for a couple minutes if you want to ask any questions, but again, thank you all for being here, really appreciate it, and you know how to find us. Mr. Gobert is going to adjourn the meeting.
Motion adjourned.
And for those who don't know, Mr. Gobert and Mr. Furbish have had some health issues, so.
No, really?
We're just really glad they're here with us. Mr. Candace?